So we saw Satya and Sheila last week in terms of the qualities of this chariot of success. And Satya we see is the ultimate goal of spirituality. And so to start trying to live it to the capacity that we can in everyday life in terms of our speech. And that was homework, right? Satya was homework? How was homework? It was good. Easy. Not at the level of thought. Yeah. Even actually speech is only easy when we attentive. But speech is easy. You can be quite actually correct with speech. But we have to be attentive because otherwise the masala sneaks in or the assumptions sneak in and even the joy of gossiping. Sheila is the one that's a little harder. Sheila was in homework, right? No? Of course it's homework. To be sweet. Shilata means to be kind, gentle, inspiring. And it's interesting because, you know, personalities will express in different ways, but Shilata can still be there, even in the way that the personality expresses. It's not like everyone has to become that same personality of soft, sweet spoken. Shilata is that kindness that's in the way things are said. So, anyways, we can continue. So the verse goes on to say, now we're seeing the horses in the chariot. And it's Bala, Viveka, Dama, Parahita, Gore. So actually Guruji, Swamiji get us to learn it. So we'll read the lines. Saurajati Rajata Hirata Chaka. And for those of you who know Hindi, it's easy. Chaka is wheels, and so what are the wheels? Sauraj and Dheeraj. Satya Shila Drida Dwaja Pataka. Pataka is also a flag, and what the flags are, Satya and Shila. Bala Viveka Dama Parahita Gore. So there's 4 horses, and those we're going to see now. Shama Kripa Samatara Jugore. Shama Kripa. And we'll probably only get to that line next week. So what are the 4 horses? The first one is Bala. Bala, again, for those of you who know Hindi, strength. Vibheka, so B and V is interchangeable in, like when it's a regional language. It's interesting how certain geographies affect the way you just can't say certain letters. So the V is not there so much in this region near Ayodhya, and everything is B. So it's Vivek. Viveka is Vivek, quality of Vivek. Dhamma is self-control at the physical level specifically, but self-control. And Parahita, so is this welfare of other people in our heart. So they're quite different, right? Bala, Viveka, Dhamma, and Parahita. It's not like you would think the 4 horses would be like one category. No, no. The 4 horses are quite different. And you can see here this style that Sant Tulsi Das has used, because the Vibhishana Gita is from Tulsi Ramayan. This is the one that we are singing. And you see that Tulsi Das Ji also wrote the Hanuman Chalisa. And what does he, in the second doha, it's Bala Buddhi Vidya Dehu Mohi, which is pretty much Bala Viveka. And Dama and Parahita is not there, but Bala and Dama. So then there's two, like you can see that Tulsi Das Ji has given these two qualities a lot of importance. So Bala, strength. So physical strength. We need physical strength. We definitely need physical strength. When we lose physical strength, we just, of course, we can't do as much. Like sometimes even, when you can't open the bottle of something, like you're just not strong enough. Or sometimes it's science, it's air pressure and you have to bang from the back or whatever. But sometimes you just need strength to be able to open it. So to be able to function, we need strength. But also when we don't have it, we feel dependent and incapacitated, and which is worse than feeling weak. Like the fact that I need somebody else to do it for me, and then we've lost our freedom. Yeah. In a way, it's very nice and humbling. Because, why should you think you can do everything? So in a way, it's very nice. But in a way, it's debilitating, frustrating. And so strength, to just be able to do. And then physical strength, like a certain amount, we most definitely do need. There's this, I don't know if the video is there. I haven't seen the video, I've only heard about it. Like even in our CIRS, when this international school was first built, then, like there was limited facilities in the beginning stages. And so assembly used to be outside. But actually going to school in South Africa, assembly was outside. We didn't have halls for assembly. We didn't sit and attend assembly. Everybody stood in a line. And here, do you all have halls? Yeah. We stood in lines. We stood in lines in the sports field. Assembly was in the sports field, and you stood in straight lines, and you had to stand up straight, and the line had to be perfectly straight, and it was usually in height order. And so, and I remember the assemblies really well. That's why the story is amusing. So the first assembly in the CIS campus, which is our school, and it's all foreign students, and it's a nice hot Indian day. And as the assembly is going, one kid faints, the next kid faints, and the next kid faints. And the reason I'm laughing is because it's not dire. It's just that they're not used to standing, number one, and not used to the heat. Now, yes, heat can be very, very uncomfortable, but a certain amount we should be able to endure. Yeah. And these are young kids, probably came from very pampered homes in Hong Kong. And then they have to stand in the sun and then plum, plum, plum. Physical strength, a certain amount we should have, that we're not so quickly overwhelmed, we're not so quickly debilitated. But of course, in today's world, and as spiritual students, it's definitely more about mental strength. And so quickly, y'all pros at this now. What is mental strength?
To be equipoised.
Equipoised?
To have the strength to not let the ups and downs of life impact you negatively, and to remain equipoised with that.
You're not incorrect. It's not textbook definition. But yeah, equipoise. Interesting that that's often an answer when I say what's a strong mind. It's not the textbook definition of, yeah, it would be a more sattvic mind than a strong mind, equipoise. But I'm not one that's very technical, so I'll take it. Very good.
be single pointed.
Very good. Textbook definition of strong mind is one that is single pointed. The one that is able to stay concentrated. So held in one place rather than which less and less and less, right? Even my own capacity when I have seen. And it has to be, any kind of strength has to be maintained. And the easiest example is if you go to gym and then you're able to do whatever, 2 minutes of plank. But if you don't practice it, you lose it. Like when I came out of the ashram, wow, I could sit. Like 6 hours was like a breeze. Yeah, I know. You don't keep doing it, you lose it. Because in the ashram, you just have to sit. Like that's it. That's all we did, day in, day out, day in, day out, day out. You get so in tune. I don't know if they do now though. And that's the thing. It has to be strength. Isn't you get it and then done. It's something that has to be worked on and worked on and worked on and worked on. So yes, concentration of mind is strength. But I think the way it manifests more in terms of our personality is, number one, our fortitude, which we saw earlier in the first verse, is strength of mind. But we're not going to talk about it so much because we already saw it under Suraj and Devaj. And then the second thing that shows strength of mind is our ability to do what we don't like to do. Which is huge. And sometimes it's interesting, like we'll see that people will completely shut down when they have to do something they don't like to do. And it can be simple as eat pumpkin. And then, their whole face is like gone so small, and then big tears will come in their eyes, and then like we really traumatizing them. It's just eat pumpkin. It's like it should be something that we should be able to do just and I remember growing up, like we all had favorite chores. And my siblings, like if there was one particular chore, the lengths they would go to make sure that they don't do that chore, and somebody else had to end up doing that chore. And my dadima used to catch straight away, But come back here, you had to do this. And they're like, but she can do it today, he can do it today. Why do I have to do it every day? You have to do it. And one of my siblings was pretty innovative in getting out of doing things. And I remember my daddy saying, you can't escape. At some point in life, you're going to have to do it. So get used to doing it. And it should be that whole drama that happens in our head of trying to get out of doing it is gone. Otherwise, I don't like it and I don't want to do it. And then so much drama in my head of resisting, of getting annoyed, of trying to escape, of trying to, blame the whole world that making my life horrible. And then imagine you're just able to do it. All of that, gone. And so many jobs, right? There's going to be so many jobs that we're going to have to do it. you live alone, or if you in a particular company profession and you get allocated and you just have to do it. And then people. So gradation of how much of an impact it makes on us, right? So food, even to eat something we don't like eating, so much drama we make, huh? And then to do work that we don't particularly like to do work, and people. If we don't like this particular personality type, let's say not even one person, huh? Let's say a personality type. These people annoy us. Which ones? Whichever ones. Yeah, the ones who are a bit louder. Or the ones who don't talk. Whichever one. Yeah, each one of us will have one that we don't like. It's just the way likes and dislikes work. But we can't escape dealing with personalities or personality types. And then if we try to build our bubble where those personality types don't exist, we're doing ourselves a disservice, because mind doesn't become strong and we're not able to see that actually there's probably pros in doing things slightly differently, and they'll have their own reasoning, they'll have their own talents, they'll have their own way of showing love. Yeah. So strong mind can do what it doesn't like to do without any drama. So just do it. Then sometimes when we don't like it and we're able to just do it, it stops being a dislike. Sometimes it continues being a dislike, but there's none of the charge that is usually there if we allow ourselves to ponder on it. So Bala, you see how much strength is. I said earlier also, when we're physically strong, we're more free. When we don't have the physical strength, then somebody has to do it for us. And so it makes us dependent and it's debilitating. Now look at this. When I can just be with people, whether I like them or not, I can just do the job, whether I like it or not. Look how free I am now. And so Bala is very, very closely linked in with our feeling of free and independent. And today we'll talk about confidence and high self-esteem. And actually it doesn't come from accomplishments. It comes from being able to do what you don't like to do. Because when I can do what I don't like to do, then what the feeling that pulls up in me is, I can deal. Now, there's nothing to run away from. I can deal. And that's where confidence really comes from. And that's strength. Right? Bala is that strength. I don't have to run. And today's English, it would be bring it on. That's exactly what Bala is. That self-assured that I'll be able to deal, because even if I don't like it, even if it's difficult, we just push through. And I can totally understand why Tulsi Das Ji focuses so much on Bala. Because in a society where people have Bala, that society is so productive and harmonious. And when we don't have Bala in a community, and then things start falling apart. We need the strength to hold it all together. So, Bala. And so every now and then, it's good to push ourselves. It's really, really good to push ourselves. And we'll say things like, I can't. Actually, it's not true. Can't is not true. It will be, I find it difficult to. Or sometimes I can't simply means I don't want to. Because I literally have people tell me, I can't deal, I can't deal, I can't deal. And they'll say it like 3 times, not even just 1 time. Huh? I'm like, I don't want to. Because actually, we can. And it's building up that strength to be able to. Bala. So, this will be permanent life homework. At least every 6 months. Test your Bala. How do you test it? Do things you don't like doing. And then concentration skill. So single pointedly do something. Because we've become so used to TV's on, this is on, that is happening, that is. What was number 3? Concentration when fortitude, not giving up. And so take up a, I think I've mentioned this before. We do the 21-day health challenge. And then we have both the Instagram views and the YouTube views. And it will have the first slide will have something like 400 views. The 21 slide will have like 80. That gives you a very good indication of how many people lasted 21 days. Huh? So you fall off. It's 21 days. That's not even long, huh? That's not even a whole month. And what is interesting also is Bhagavatam, which is 7 days. You're supposed to do Bhagavatam full in 7 days. The first video has like close to 680 something views, huh? And the 7th day? Yeah, 200. Didn't even last 2 days. 7 days. It's it. And it's not even that, like now they're watching the video. Those people who had to come here in person, okay, it was a long 2 hours you sitting and listen. They can listen over 14 days. Right? No, still. So what's the next homework? So you're doing this every 6 months. You take up something that's going to be a stretch of time. Make sure you see it through. This is why parents would tell kids, right? Like, you have to see it through. You can't quit in the middle. They take up piano and then they don't like it anymore. They take up this and they don't like it anymore. And then, fine, you don't like it anymore, but you're going to finish it. You're going to finish the 1 year, or you're going to finish the. And literally, we have to make sure we do this every 6 months. And one of the beautiful things about our culture is we have so many nice festivals. And so Ganesh Chaturthi starts next week. You can take up a vrata for 10 days. You decide what it is you're going to do. For 10 days, you will wake up at 5 a.m. Only 10 days. I'm not saying that's what you have to do. For 10 days, you will make sure you exercise for an hour. For 10 days, you will chant. Nice thing to do. And then let's say Ganesh Chaturthi isn't kind of, too busy, too much happening. No problem. 1 month later, Navratri is coming. And so then that's 9 days. And you know, really, this is part of the beauty of our culture. 9 days you have to fast for Navratri. You have to see it through. 9 days is a nice solid chunk of time. No giving up. It builds up Bala, fortitude. Or even with the Bhagavatam, I had to finish reading certain amount. You have to finish certain amount of japa. And then you just make sure you finish it. It's that, seeing it through. I mean, we have to do it with work all the time, but this is in terms of our sadhana, we should make sure at least once every 6 months we're doing it. Because remember, with Bala, if you don't keep doing it, it goes. Yeah. So every now and then force ourselves to do things we don't like or find challenging. Every now and then make a commitment of a certain period of time and we make sure we see it through. And concentration, single pointed concentration, which actually we can't do once every 6 months. It has to be done at least every second day, but ideally every single day. And so this strong mind becomes a force. The strong mind really does become an incredible force. You see all the political leaders today, which ones are the ones that are having more impact? Whether you like them or not, they have a strong mind. They're the ones that are having more impact. In, okay, political, world politics, I don't really want to talk about world politics. Within your social group, who's calling all the shots? The one with the strong mind. In your family? And if too many strong minds in the family not agreeing with each other, ay, ay, ay. Then we have to go back to Sheetal. You can see it, right? Strong mind is literally a force. It's like a weapon. And we wield it. And if the person is virtuous, then we wield it with the intention of creating goodness. And if the person's selfish, then they wield it to get what they want. And there's plenty wielding their mind to get what they want. And so on the spiritual path, so important that our minds become strong so that we can wield it to create a better world. Bala, Viveka, Vivek. So we talk about this often because when we study Vedanta, the qualifications for a 5th student is Vivek, number 1. Vairagya, number 2. And then Shama, Dama, Uparama. Dama comes in here, which is why I mentioned it. So 2 of the qualifications of a 5th student for Vedanta have featured in the Chariot of Success. Okay. But you all already know, so I'm not repeating myself about Vivek. Oh yeah, why are you also quiet today? Huh? Discrimination, correct. Real and in the Vedantic sense, that's the discrimination between real and unreal. How? Between the words we would use. So the first thing to know is between dharma and adharma, right and wrong. That would be the first level of Vivek that we need to have, which we have. Usually by the age of 4, we already have a very good sense of right and wrong. They don't even need to come to Bal Vihar. You already know. It's so inbuilt, the sense of right and wrong. Yeah. Which is, it's incredible. And then between Shreyas and Prayas, we have to have the Vivek between Shreyas and Prayas. Do you all remember these words? Shreyas is that which is the greater good, short-term difficulty for long-term benefit. So you're really tired and you just want to go to sleep, but no, you have to brush your teeth. Why? Because when you're 80 years old, you'll be so happy that you looked after your teeth. So short-term discomfort or short-term and then long-term benefit. And that is Shreyas. And Prayas is the opposite. Short-term comfort and long-term discomfort. So you just go to sleep without brushing your teeth, and then you end up with dentures and can't bite into anything, and then have to eat mushy food for years and years and years and years at the tail end of your life. Shreyas and Prayas. Vivek is the, I can see the difference between Shreyas and Prayas. And then another level is, similar to Shreyas and Prayas, is while seeing the action, I can see the consequence. So I know the difference between action and consequence, but I also know that they're the same. And we sometimes little bit not totally use this in the right way. Because sometimes people will say to me, I don't know what horrible thing I did in my last life to end up with whatever they ended up with, right? A kid like this, a spouse like this, a job like this, or a body type like this, or whatever it is that we're not happy with. But that's not, it's not unforeseen. It's more like I am wasteful and then I don't have. Vivek is being able to see how the action brings, and then same action becomes the consequence. Yeah. They separate, but to be able to see the connection. Not everyone will agree with this as a form of Vivek, but it's very much tied in with Shreyas and Prayas. And then the relative and the absolute. To know the difference between relative and absolute. Before we get to Sat and Asat, there's this wonderful Mithya. This is, so how do we use it? We actually use this Vivek very often in everyday life, where when people are talking, then we'll say, but that's how you feel, right? That's your opinion. So that's relative. Oh, that's how it is at the moment. It won't always be like that. And that's relative. To know relative from absolute. So sometimes people will give me feedback. People are saying, you should do this, this, this. Maybe ashram class, or maybe Bal Vihar, maybe. People are saying we shouldn't be so religious in Bal Vihar. I'll say, really? Isn't that kind of the point of Bal Vihar? No, we'll get more people if we are a bit more modern. Like, can't change who we are to get more people. We should try and get more people, but being who we are. So relative versus, you're laughing, but people really do think this, right? Because if you give them a goal of, we need more kids in Bal Vihar, then they try and get the kids, but change what Balvihari is. Because kids like this. So if you do this, kids will come. Yeah. Vivek is knowing the difference. Absolutes, Vivek, relative, trends, fads, and prioritizing, right? And then finally, Vivek is knowing real from unreal. What's real? That which never changes. Which basically is nothing we experience. We only experience change. But we can use Vivek in so many different ways. We won't go to Sat and Asat. We can stick to absolute and relative. This is an opinion, it's not a truth. What's the truth? And this is a very powerful thing to use. Because nowadays, you'll have so-and-so organization has done studies and said you should eat more. What should we eat more of? Lotus seeds. That's what's trending at the moment, right? Makhana. At least in India. Everything's makhana. Studies have found this is opinion. This is not true. Or it really changes the way you see things. You have to be size 0 to be considered pretty. Opinion, not true. Or even the vice versa, light is pretty, dark is opinion, not true. Changes things, right? Vivek. So when someone's speaking to us, opinion. Truth? Only Krishna's truth. I mean, we're pretty good here. We're very clear. This becomes very useful in everyday life. If you say sat asat, then it doesn't become useful in everyday life. Yeah. But this becomes useful. So what should I follow? If everything is opinion, what should I follow? Krishna's opinion. Which is very clear in the Gita. Nobody else's opinion. I need to follow. Please don't say everything is opinion. Whose opinion should I follow? Mine. No! That would just be horrendous. Because on the spiritual path, remember, when we're just following our opinion, we're following desire. Desire is the seed for all sorrow. So, whose opinion should we follow? Krishna's. Scriptures. And then another way we can use Vivek very often in everyday life is to be able to tell which one of my thoughts are emotional and which one of my thoughts are practical. So we have mana, mind, and buddhi, intellect. And we have so many thoughts. And sometimes we think we're being very, very rational. But it's all emotional. I wish I had saved this. I had read this article where they did this experiment and there were people who already had a desire, and then there were a bunch of people who didn't have any particular preference. And then the people who had a preference came up with very detailed reasoning of why it should be that way. And then the people who didn't have any particular preference and they were told, do it this way, and then they were told to come up with the reasoning, their reasoning wasn't as detailed or solid or passionate and there were they did a few studies like this, which just basically showed us that most of us, we choose what it is we want the outcome to be, and then we work out what reasoning will match it. Most of us don't sit and reason and get to destination. We decide already destination. I want it this way. And then we go back and work out which reasoning will help us to get to that destination. I wish I'd saved that article because I don't remember the details of that article. So, but that's such an incredibly interesting experiments that they had undertaken to show this. And so what do? We think we're very intellectual, logical people. We're just using it to get what I want. And what do I want is usually mind. And so most of our thoughts are usually from mind. And so having Viveka to know this thought belongs to mind, this thought belongs to actual knowledge, intellect. This Viveka is highly, 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 highly beneficial for us on an everyday basis. Because the journey in spirituality is to understand that what is more subtle is also more powerful. So body is the most gross, mind is more subtle than body, intellect is more subtle than mind. Vasanas are more subtle than intellect, and then chit is the most subtle of all. So what's the rule? The rule is the more subtle it is, the more powerful we are. So when we're working at just body level, we are our least powerful. But we all know the phrase so well, mind over matter, which basically means if we make up our mind to do something, even if the body is not willing, we just drag it and get it done. Like it's interesting, like in the West when they have to climb Everest or something like that, they're months and months and months and months and months and months they train. And then these people going Kedarnath Yatra, they just wake up one morning and turn up to Kedarnath and they walk. And it's like, how did they walk there? Okay, some don't walk, some have donkeys and some have people helping them up there. But a lot of them will just walk. And they in chappals. And they'll be in it. And no funky traveling kits with, helping them climatize with altitude. They take glucose biscuits, Parle-G. That's what they take to deal with altitude. It's too cool. If you've ever done any of these yatras, that's literally what they do. They'll give you Parle-G biscuit. Chalo, walk. Without training, how have they walked? Mind over matter. We've come here on Tirtha Yatra, we have to get darshan. You walk. And then, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Just doesn't feature because you keep walking till you're there. You'll know when you're there. You'll get stuck in a queue. Such a beautiful example of mind over matter, huh? if you've ever been on one of these Tirtha Yatras, it is phenomenal. The physical endurance that people go through. Vaishno Devi and we had gone to Valley of Flowers, which is very, very high up. And such elderly people walking, and young children walking. And nothing, like you're tired, just you chant more. And just everyone walking past tells you the same thing. Devi Ma is giving you strength, walk. Like what you making natak for, walk. I'm dizzy, Paleji biscuit. I'm tired, Paleji biscuit. My shoes are hurting, Paleji biscuit. It's the solution to all. I don't want Paleji biscuit. Okay, walk. And you walk, huh? The only ones who make natak are the NRI Spaldars. Okay, the only ones that make natak. Everyone else is walking. Mind over matter. And we'll see it in other ways also. Sometimes we're not well, and then some important project at work, and then you don't know how you got through the day, but you get through the day. Or if you're a mom or a dad, you've seen it because you're not well, but the kid needs you, and so you are secondary now. You just deal. And becoming a mom really teaches you that. You just deal. There's no out. There's no way you can put this. It's there. This child demanding more than you can give. And then you have to give. So, which is why people don't want kids anymore. Mental strength. And we were talking about the more subtle something is, the more powerful it is. And so mind can override body, even when body isn't necessarily fit enough or willing. And intellect can override mind. Now, we don't nearly use this enough for me to give examples. And intellect overriding mind will be, well, I did in the first when we were speaking about courage. When we filled with fear and the mind says, no, you're doing it. Intellect says, no, you're doing it. Then that's intellect overriding mind. And then we see the outcome, right? It's huge when we have courage and intellect overrides mind, and then we're doing things that are taking us out of our comfort zone, allowing us to have such a more diverse experience, allowing us to grow. But intellect overriding mind also is like, I want, and then intellect says, no, you don't need that. And we may have definitely experienced it at some point, but very often mind will say, but I want, and then we'll say, okay, just buy it. And so intellect didn't win. But the law is we are more powerful when we are operating from the part of us that is more subtle. So not listening to intellect and giving into mind is us choosing to be less powerful. And so we have to, because it's steps. And every step has to be taken. No steps can be skipped. Yeah? And then Vasana has to be skipped because it's unmanifest. I just said no steps can be skipped, but there's no step there because it's unmanifest. Then that next step is Chit, Sat. And so we want to experience Sat. But we haven't lifted ourselves from mind to intellect. And you can only take the step to Sat from intellect. And which is why today people meditating is a joke. Why? Because they still had body. Needing so many cushions before they can sit. From body, how you get to Sat? Have to go to mind. From mind, you have to go to intellect. Even if you're over body, chalo, theek hai, you have really defined body. You are fasting, you are exercising, you are not giving in to all the demands of body. Then all the other desires at the level of mind, we still stuck there. From mind, we have to lift to intellect. Only then we're ready to meditate. Because only from intellect we can step up to Sat, where we are the most powerful. And then we will say, but what about Bhakti? So in Bhakti, you are doing japa. And in japa, mind is completely silenced. And so you will be operating from intellect. And you can still go up to Sat. So Bhakti also works fine. Bhakti is still taking you to intellect. Because it's his will, not mine. His will, not mine. Krishna wants this, we surrender to Krishna's wish. So, Bala, strength. And then Viveka. Viveka is operating from our inner equipments of intellect so that we are operating from the strongest we can be. When we're operating from I want, we're not operating from the strongest we can be. We might be very strong in what it is we want, but that's not the strongest we can be. So Vivek is this ability to know, I am giving into mind, I am using intellect. This is opinion. This is truth. Truth is very simple. Love, which is selfless. Everything else, opinion. So, am I choosing opinion? Or do I establish myself in truth? Even relative truths, where I have now a conviction, I am going to, let's say I take up for whatever, 21 days, I am going to do this. Then opinions on how you can get out of it. Don't listen. Even like Shravan is on and then fasting, and then people will say, but now it's damaged your health. But if you took it up for Shravan, Shravan should finish. Then you can decide next time not to take it up again, but finish it. Otherwise, we can come up with so many reasons of why we can quit in which. Opinion. I said I'm going to do it. Learn also to think carefully before you say you're going to do things. Even that's a good lesson to learn. And sometimes that endurance, even though it was very unpleasant, turns out to make us so much more insightful and, of course, stronger in terms of our mind. Okay, so those were two horses, Dama and Parahita. We shall see next week. 4 horses of the chariot of success. The 4 horses of the chariot of success. In Gita, usually it represents the senses, the 5 senses. But there's only 4 horses because tongue is both taste and touch. We like to condense. Sanskrit is very succinct. And so here are only 4 horses. Questions?
Is having a strong mind the same thing as having a strong personality?
No. Strong personality is when I bulldoze others to do things my way. No. How will you know you have a strong mind? Single-pointedness. If I have to do this, I do only this. I cannot be swayed. I can endure things I don't like. I don't give up.
You mentioned that, so you can tell who the strong mind is in the family.
People will listen to them. Not strong personalities. Strong personalities we listen to appease. Like we don't want to deal with their tantrum. Right? There's plenty of those in the world. But people who are genuinely very strong, like what scriptures would say, they are the ones we admire. They're the ones we go and we ask, what do you think?
It's an interesting question because I know someone who can endure, but also can't make a decision. On the one hand, has a very strong, lots of topics. Maybe the generation, the way they were brought up, doesn't have
They
that
can
strength
endure, but they can't make a decision.
doesn't have the strength of conviction.
Confidence. Vivek.
Yeah, so some things like
Vivek. Inability to make decision would be Vivek. Or courage.
like sometimes people can endure because they're stubborn.
Yes, stubborn can be a form
That's
of
not-
endurance.
Or
That's
it
not
is strong, but not how you always.
Yeah, you're right. It
Stubbornness
is
is
strong,
strong.
but it's not the strong we want to be. That stubborn can be broken. Like the strength that comes from stubborn, that's that example of the tree that breaks in the storm where the grass doesn't. But here, the strength of strong isn't the tree that can be broken. Here, it's resilience, it's endurance, it's being able to do what I don't like to do, which is that grass that can bend. So it's not a strong that comes out of rigidity. So it's not a strong personality where my way or the highway. That's not a strong one.
I was thinking about what you were saying about scientific truths actually just being opinions.
Scientific truths being opinions. It is.
And so then started that which doesn't change. So I was trying to think, is there a scientific truth that is not an opinion? And so then I thought, okay, sugar is bad for you. And then I thought, sugar is sweet. That cannot be changed.
That's right. Sugar is sweet, cannot be changed. Sugar is bad for you. Get these situations where people are
I get that.
hypoglycemic and you give them sugar. There's situations where Parle-G biscuit when you're going on tapas. Yes, sugar is sweet, cannot be contradicted.
And how can you say the only truth is Krishna or Brahman? Because there are other
Sugar is
truths.
sweet is, but that's
Gravity,
dharma, right?
gravity, like, there
Yeah.
are other truths that you-
They are truths, yes. But we would consider those universal laws. Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say something. Right. In science, so I remember when I studied psychology, the course was called behavioral sciences because psychology was trying so hard to be a science at that point in time. I think they've stopped. And so we had to do a whole semester of what constitutes scientific. And they pretty much tell you that it's not true. There's no such thing in that first semester of where they're telling you what's scientific, because every scientific experiment starts with a premise. And a premise basically means you don't know if this is true or not. You're assuming. And then you do the experiment to prove your premise, and then it's a your hypothesis is correct. But that doesn't mean for sure it's going to stay correct, because there's still at least 300 other experiments that can be done, which can still prove your premise wrong.
There's a bias, right?
Yeah, there's an observer bias, but that's even without the first thing of every experiment is done with a premise. Yeah, the observer bias is, again, very, very, very well documented. And there's been so many experiments showing this. Even with rats in mazes, there's been experiments proving this, that if you want the rat to act in a certain way, it acts in that. That's the power of your mind there. Like, imagine how powerful our mind is, huh? I want you to act a certain way and you will. And I've definitely seen this as a teacher in Bala. It's phenomenal. So yeah, scientific is opinion.
So why study?
Why study? Because relatively it works, right? Everything works relatively. It's like design. It works. Put this color with this color. Works better than if you put this color with that color. But some do work. It is opinion, but it works. You need to have a working knowledge of design
I guess we study
to make all the things we make.
and to use our muscle,
Yeah.
our brain muscle. That's what, otherwise we wouldn't be able to secure.
Oh, you mean for science?
Science,
Why do we study?
It's by sometimes from
Yeah.
therapy, people will prove this is incorrect. It's something that keep changing.
Why do they study? Because they don't want to grow up. It's true. They don't want to grow up. They don't want to get jobs and work hard. Go back to study.
Because they're studying, they need to do something.
That's an opinion. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kashyat prabhavati, asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityurma amritamgamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnam Purnamidashyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Shishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Hari Om